Many people speak about fasting online, particularly in self-improvement communities, but they often don't speak about how to get into it, and they certainly often don't talk about things associated with it. So a number of people asked me about Christian life, so I decided to do a 3-part series on the very basics of Christian spirituality. And this is one of them. The other ones are going to come out over the next couple of weeks. And in short, we're going to cover fasting and different things which all come under the term ascesis. Now, many of you will have heard of asceticism, which is self-denial and self-control in order to overcome a particular lower passion. So, sex, food, lust for sleep or something like that. The idea is that you abstain from these particular activities to gain self-control over these particular activities, so you're not utterly beholden to them. So today we'll be talking specifically about fasting, or fasting from food, because you can fast from sleep, you can fast from water, you can fast from other things. I actually learnt a number of things from an extended period of fasting I did in Lent 2 years ago, where I ceased eating on Wednesdays and Fridays. First of all, since you're eating less calories, you lose weight. I lost about 1.5 stone over that period of about 6 weeks. Also, you notice that your skin is a lot clearer because you're eating less in the way of toxins, because toxins in the modern world are very hard to avoid since we live in industrial and post-industrial countries. And finally, which is arguably the whole point of the fasting endeavour, is that I found that I had greater control over my appetite, so I could just say no. And as I persist in fasting now, in fact most of the videos I script while fasting, I find that I'm not nearly as beholden to eating food as I once was. But these are the self-evident ones. Some of the less evident ones are even better. For example, and I know this particular one isn't just me because thousands of people have pointed this out, I think in a far, far clearer way when I'm fasting. I find that I'm coming to conclusions in a far faster way than when I've been eating, particularly if I've been eating a lot of carbohydrates. And consequently, this has a very, very important impact on Christian spirituality, and that is that you pray better, because what prayer ultimately is lifting up your intellect to God's intellect, and communing with God. So I find it easier to pray as a result. Also, I noticed that I was saving a lot more money because not only was I not eating on those days, I was also eating less on the other days, so consequently I reduced my food bill. I also found that I was doing other things to occupy myself from the thought of the hunger, so I got more done, which is actually precisely why I work on these videos on the fast days, because I'm in a more work mindset when I do this. Now, it's all well and good me shouting the praises of the effects of fasting and the effects of ascesis, but how do we actually get into the process of fasting? Well, you start with the standard Friday abstinence of the Catholic Church, which is where you eat less than you normally would. Specifically, you have exactly 1 meal and 2 snacks, and you have these on the Friday as the default penance, as well as abstaining from all meat. So, regardless of the reasoning, I don't have the theology right here in front of me for that, you have not only abstinence set up, but also a very, very lax fasting rule as well for you to start on. Now, I want you to memorize this particular time increment because it's going to be important throughout this video and throughout your entire life. It takes roughly 3 weeks to break a bad habit and another 3 weeks to found a good one on top of it. So it should take you around about 42 days to build up this abstinence and fasting habit. And then when you have completed that, you move on, you subtract things. You subtract the meal, you subtract the snacks. Now, I would personally recommend taking the snacks first for another 42-day interval, and then taking away the meal for the next 42 days, so you sort of work your way onto it. But obviously, you have the choice. You can take away the food first. But what I want to say here is that you should not just jump in at the deep end, because 99% of you won't have the willpower to persist, because I tell you, those first few days getting used to fasting is one heck of a shock, and you probably won't be able to endure it. And that's not me insulting you and saying you're less of a man, I'm saying you're human, because I've done that, and I've struggled, and I've failed. It's taken me a good amount of time, because I jumped in at the deep end, to get this as a proper habit. Now, if you fail, don't worry, because the successful people are the people who can take the most hits. If you fail and you're a confirmed Catholic, go and confess it. If you've eaten over the meal and the 2 snacks, or you've eaten meat. If you are not a Catholic, then dust yourself off and try again the next Friday. Just whatever you do, persist, persist, persist. Keep going, keep praying for it, and you will eventually get it, because it's a pretty easy habit to build when you get used to it. And finally, what I want to say is that it be very prudent, regardless of what I've said earlier on about the benefits of fasting, to adapt this anyway. Because once you've got a set timetable in your head over something, it becomes a lot easier to put things on top of that. For example, with this fasting rule, I've got it into my head that if I fast, I'm scripting videos and I'm recording a Q&A. When I'm not fasting, it's a little more hectic. So, as you make your life more habituous, you'll be able to put more habits on top of it. So this is a particularly harmless practice to do, and it helps the rest of your life in ways that you cannot even possibly imagine, even in excess of those things that I've already said. So I hope this has been useful to you. Thank you very much for watching. Please do share this, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. A very big thank you to those on the list here. These are subscribers to the Renaissance Man program who get audiobooks and controversial videos every week for $5 a month. There's already quite a lot of content there, so if you check it out in the description, you won't be missing out. Thank you.